put the cocoa butter down and stop satisfying your flesh? I have a question for you. If you were to meet your spouse, you could pick which type of spouse it is depending on who you are. And you both consented to the devil's tango and you popped out, let's say, 2 developed sperm over the course of 9 months. Would you care for those children? I'm going to assume the answer is yes. Would you love those children? Again, I'm going to assume the answer is yes. Would you protect those children? Again, for the 3rd time, going to assume the answer is yes. Sorry if I have a little bit too much faith in whoever's watching this video right now. Maybe you're a psychopath, maybe not. But I need you all to understand that if you said yes to all of these questions, I need you to realize that while you might be considered a good parent, there are others out there who would not do these things. And they are evil people who I believe shouldn't be participating in the devil's tango that helps reproduce the population. And if I could ever give you a type of example that will piss you off, Susan Smith, a woman who had 2 children and ended up killing them both, and then, for some odd reason, while people are scrambling to figure out what happened, was blaming it and pinning it on someone else, and as if that person kidnapped those kids and allowed people to think for a considerable amount of time that someone stole her kids while she was sitting there knowing full well she killed them. And yes, she's been in jail all this time because I believe this happened back when I was nothing more than a sperm in my father's testicles.
The woman convicted of killing her 2 sons in Union County 30 years ago was denied parole in a hearing in Columbia. The news media was granted access inside that parole board hearing.
We've got team coverage of the hearing and the reaction. First, Taylor Farmer shows us what Susan Smith and the children's father had to say.
Convicted murderer Susan Smith began her statement to the board crying, stating she loved her sons, Michael and Alex. Her ex-husband, David Smith, also crying, pleaded with the board, begging that they keep the woman responsible for killing his 2 sons behind bars. An emotional David Smith, the father of Michael and Alex, talked about how close he came to ending his life, consumed by grief over the deaths of his sons, killed by their mother.
She made free choice that night to end their life. This wasn't a tragic mistake. It wasn't something that she didn't mean to.
David Smith, ex-husband of Susan Smith, stood by her side in 1994 while she lied to everyone she knew, including him. He said 30 years in prison for killing his sons is not nearly long enough. He says the emotional damage she caused him, family and friends, the community, and those around the country will never be forgotten.
Ultimately, to me, that's only 15 years per child. Her own children. It's just not enough.
David Smith says he believes Susan is still the person she was 30 years ago and says she has never expressed any remorse. Susan told the board she knows what she did was horrible.
And I would give anything if I could go back and change it. And I love Michael and Alex with all my heart.
The board asked Smith about wasting the community's resources while authorities tirelessly searched for her 2 boys and a black man who she accused of taking them.
That I'm sorry that I put them through that. I really, really am. And I'm especially sorry to the drivers that I had to find them. I wish I could take that back. I really do.
More than 10 people stood in front of the committee asking members to not fall for Smith's lies, as many people did 30 years ago, and asking them to not grant her parole.
I know she wants a chance to be free after only serving 30 years. No.
Punishment has not been achieved yet, and so I would ask you to deny parole.
So to help give this family some peace, it would be best if Susan stayed behind bars and stay in prison for the rest of her life.
She should never be released, and she should not be released now. His hopes and dreams were dashed. I hope you dash hers today and every 2 years hereafter.
Smith was not granted parole. The board denied that unanimously. She will have another chance to make her case in 2026. After serving 30 years of her life sentence, She now has a chance of parole every 2 years. In Columbia, Taylor Farmer, 7 News.
So for now, Smith will remain behind bars at Leith Correctional in Greenwood.
And as this has gone on, this fool recently has tried to get out of jail and has tried to go through the legal means of saying, oh, I'm changed. Oh, I regret these things happening. Oh, I am so ashamed, while not fully taking accountability for any of it, making it seem like it's all these other outliers, making it seem like, oh, it's all these other issues. Oh, no, bitch. You killed your kids and you tried to pin it on a phantom, and you thought for some reason other people were going to see you and think after all this time you've changed. No, you're sick, you're depraved, and you're asinine. And when the families looked at you and said, you gonna stay your ass next to Big Frida, it was reported that when you got put back in that cell, you were a little bit pissed off. So you learned nothing. You were trying to get in front of people, give them a nice little sob story, and think to yourself, they're going to let me out after this. Ooh, they're going to let me go free. And maybe I'll get the opportunity to kill again. Because that's what people are going to think about you until you're dead. You're not going to have a safe bone thought in your body. It's going to be people who hate you forever because of what you did. And maybe that's not the rationalization you want. Maybe you're expecting people to feel sympathetic towards you, but they don't, because they know who you are. They know what you did. They know how you tried to game the system to get away with killing your children. And you should be embarrassed and ashamed, but clearly you're not. You seem like you wanted to try to get out by using the mental health excuse, which mental health is a disastrous thing that leads people to think and do some crazy shit. That's not a fucking excuse for killing your kids, madam. And I'm gonna need you to understand that no matter what, because this came out of the families' mouths that had to watch you sit there and lie to them about how you're a changed person, you're gonna be sitting there for a long time, because I believe now every 2 years, this bitch has the opportunity to fucking plead her case that she should be let out of prison. And these motherfuckers have responded. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. These people have responded by saying, if we have to come back every 2 years to make sure you stay in jail, we gonna do that. That's dedication to the fucking cause. And if I could help in any way, I would, and I would always do it. Because no, you don't deserve to be out in common society. You don't deserve to mingle with the common folk. You deserve where you are right now for no eloquent, intelligent reason, but because you killed your fucking kids, you sick bitch. You belong there, and you're gonna stay there. And I hope you stay there forever. And I hope anybody who does the devil's tango just to end up killing your kids, you go sit right next to it. And you stupid bitches can all sit by the prison campfire and sing your campfire songs and talk about how you're all gonna fucking get out one day. As the prison doors slam tighter and tighter and Big Frida start undressing each and every one of you with just 4 fingers. Subscribe to the channel. I will see you all in the next one. Mwah. Goodbye.